Lady who does it with us.
Yeah. All righty.
Good evening. I'd like to call this 42nd meeting of Jacksonville Environmental and Environmental Appearance Advisory Committee to order. I want to welcome everyone to our meeting. Our meeting target time is 1 hour. I want to recognize our council liaison, Ms. Angelina Washington. We thank you for your service.
Thank you for yours.
Are there any guests that are not speaking that should be recognized? Okay. If not, let us proceed. I am Edward Blizzard and pleased to serve as your chair for this committee. At this time, I would like everyone to just introduce themselves, starting with Eugenia.
My name is Gina Webb, Vice Chair and Recognition Committee Chair.
Councilmember Angela Washington, Council Liaison.
Icy Keys, member.
Betty Shufflebond, member.
Linda Smith, member and chair of the Planning Subcommittee and Tree Board.
Grace Halbert, member and past chairman.
Yolanda Henley, Administrative Assistant.
Michael LaCory, Director of Parks Facilities.
Scott Perozzi, Assistant Park Superintendent.
And Glenn Hargett with the city. Behind me is Hunter Potts. He's a Sturgeon City Fellow. He's one of two that work with us during the summer, and he'll tell him a little bit more about himself as he's going to address you just a little bit later.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Every committee member is asked to update their contact information tonight and to correct any information so that the city has that on file. Adoption of the agenda. Members should review the agenda and consider the adoption of the agenda before proceeding. Everyone had a chance to look?
I make a motion to.
Okay, yeah, so we have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Minutes of the June 7th, 2018 meeting are provided for your consideration. Are there any adoptions or amendments to that you can see?
I make a motion that we adopt the minutes.
Okay, motion by Linda to adopt. Second by Betty. Do I have, I guess I have to say all in favor? Those say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. The official attendance report is provided on page 9, which is submitted to the clerk each month. Should there be a mistake in this report, please let the staff know as soon as possible. City ordinance requires automatic removal for certain number of absences. It is now time for our presentation for this meeting. I'm going to turn over the introduction of these next two items to our staff liaison, Mr. Glenn Hargett.
And thank you and good evening. Tonight, we continue your tradition of hearing reports from various areas, and this evening, we're going to have a report about urban forestry. And we're pleased to have, obviously, the people who you've known. Obviously, you know this is a special time of the year for the Parks unit. They have certainly been out busy as it was, and they do a fine job, and you folks have commended them. And we look forward to going and having donuts with you every year, and whatever the fare is that time there. So, Michael LaCory, I'm going to call on you to introduce Scott and others.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having us tonight. It's always fun for us to come and speak with environmental appearance. It's obviously near and dear to our heart and important to us as we continue, hopefully, you feel, making the city look better moving forward. And we have Scott Perozzi with us tonight. Now, Scott's our Assistant Park Superintendent, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about urban forestry tonight in one of our parks, as well as in some common areas that you're probably familiar with. Scott?
Good evening. Thanks for having me. Here's our PowerPoint.
That little arrow right there.
This one here?
No, that one.
That one here. All right. We're going to be talking about tree pruning and how to prune the trees around the city. All right. Pruning with a purpose. Raise the canopy for height, which is raising for clearance when you're walking on our walkways, for our trucks that drive by, for our fairs and National Night Out that's coming up, so we can set up tents. So as you walk, we have clearance, and we raise the canopy for that. Remove dead and diseased branches to make sure the tree stays healthy, nothing gets decayed, can fall, anything like that, and keep the look of the tree steady. Remove cross branching, which is basically when two branches cross inside the tree, and that can cause a problem with weakening the branch. As it gets bigger, one might go up and it might fall down, or cause some disease problems by bugs getting into a weak spot. So we'd like to remove those when we see them. And then also pruning, for the purpose is train young trees for better structure for support for the future. So as they're young, if you trim them, as they grow and get bigger, they're going to be more stable tree, a more beautiful tree, and can withstand some of the weather that we have here, which is hurricanes and stuff like that. So it'll be stronger and more viable in the future. These are some pictures of before we did some pruning at Riverwalk Park. One is down the roadside where the trash trucks and the canopies are all lower and where we had to trim, and then the other is the walkway. And it just shows that they're hanging about.
Yeah, these branches, and it's hard to tell from the pictures, just so you know, because you don't have anybody walking. We don't have anything for scale there. But they're as low in a lot of areas as 6 foot. So for people walking, you know, we want to have clearance for them. And, yeah, you can use the trash can for reference. But for vehicles, not just the trash trucks, you taking your vehicle down there, you know, we don't want branches scratching cars and things like that.
Right.
So
And the next slide is after we did the pruning. As you can see, the canopies are higher. They're usually about 8 to 10 feet now. We try to get them up to 10 feet or 8 feet, depending on what the branch is. But you can tell it's a lot more cleaner look. For future, we tried to trim for looks and for structure, and it looks a lot better. And it was a process, but it looks great now. Now, this is the debris that we got from it. We stacked it down at the building down there at Riverwalk, and thanks to sanitation for helping us and coming cleaning up. It's mainly out of there. They worked hard on getting it, but that's a tremendous amount of debris I've already saw, but it was a very large pile that we pushed up, and it's pretty much cleaned up now. Now, these are the areas we've been trimming, which is the NCDOT islands. I've been working on Cheney Ditch, where the trees are along the walkway, and then Highway 17 next to the trail. So there are 3 areas also with the pictures down at Riverwalk that we've been focusing on with this pruning process. This is the NC Urban Forest Contract, which we're sending Jason to in September in Winston-Salem, and the topics are going to be invasive species detection, integrated pest management, soil challenges and opportunities. This is just a learning experience for Jason and our department to get better at what we taking care of trees and moving forward in the future. And one other thing we wanted to discuss was promoting clean and green. All the mulch that we put out in the city is 100% of the chocolate mulch that is used by the city comes from recycled vegetation debris and no construction material, which is very important with bugs and other stuff that could be in construction material. So we make sure that is what we use, and that's a part of our promoting clean and green for the city. And that's it.
And if I can jump on a little bit, a couple other things about the pruning that we've recently done. Riverwalk is somewhere that I think we're all in here familiar with Riverwalk Park. We've pruned every one of the trees down there. I will tell you, I don't know that that's ever been done since those trees were planted in the early 2000s. And what that's provided is not just, and it's important that the canopy is up for people to walk through it, and it's important that cars can drive down there without fear of having their roofs scratched or anything like that, is the health of the tree. You know, we're promoting good health for the tree and cutting some of these, and pruning some of these branches out and shaping the tree up. But what you'll see down there when you go down there, hopefully for National Night Out, is a much more uniformed look in the trees. Now, some trees are a little more mature than others, but generally speaking, you're going to see that. You'll see that also on 17 as you come into Jacksonville and you go by the NCDOT and the license plate, or the, where you get your license, that area, you'll see those trees. We worked on those trees also. So you will see a more uniform look out of those trees, and which we think gives a much better appearance to Jacksonville, especially as you're coming in and leaving the city.
And plus, you all know we were encouraged to share this information with you. Certainly, Michael and his team have been with us when we met with the folks from the Tree City Awards and from the Urban Forestry Unit. I've forgotten the exact name of that, but they really encouraged us to help push these words out about proper. We've done something on mulching, we've done some things on urban trimming and things like that, and you're going to see these continue to push these messages out as part of our growth award, and part of what we want to do is to pass information along to everyone. Well, thank you for that presentation.
Thank
Do
you.
you have any other questions or anything?
How are the trees at the Grove doing?
The trees
They look
overall,
good from the street.
They are doing well. I mean, again, you know, we've been very lucky at the Grove as far as health of the trees and the rose bushes that were planted out there. I know Jason in the early spring was concerned about maybe a couple of them out there, but I think they have bounced back. We're going to be a little more aggressive moving forward through the fall and doing some fertilizing out there to the trees to help their growth spurt. But I know you can tell the trees are really, you know, they're not huge trees yet by any means, but you can tell they're growing and
They'll be
they're
beautiful when
starting
they
to
mature.
grow.
Yeah,
You know, we had said about 5 years is when you're going to see it. We're probably a little ahead of that curve, but they're starting to come around and take shape of the Chinese pistachios. We had all seen pictures of it as a mature tree.
especially with such a harsh winter. It did
Yes.
take a little bit longer for this year for everything to come out. So they've really started coming out and they're starting to show their strength now.
And remember, Scott, you said that you had seen these trees planted around and they were extraordinarily
Oh, yes,
hardy.
yes,
and-
they are. They can handle very many stresses, and they've been planted in Texas, all over areas where drought and all that, but over there, we do have the water and stuff, so it should really spur on growth, and it should be a real good tree out there.
They're
for sure.
definitely getting plenty of water right now.
Yes, they are.
Now, does Parks put the flags out there, like, so you all do that? Okay, I saw them and I was wondering who put them out.
Well, that's a tradition that dates back to when the
Yes.
trees were along Lejeune Boulevard.
We used to do them on Lejeune Boulevard.
Very nice.
Great.
So if anyone asks about those, remind
city
them where
doesn't.
the Grove is that's the primary where you want to put those type of things.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks. They have some
Thank
other
you.
things they have to do, Mr. Chairman, so if you'd let them go
Sure,
on to
thank
go
you.
and
Again,
do
thank
that
you.
part.
Thank you, Mike and Scott. Appreciate it.
We'll see you Tuesday.
Linda Smith Alexander, Subcommittee Member, do you have any report tonight?
We did not meet, and I have no report since the last meeting, and that
Okay.
report was given.
All right, that's okay. How about the Planning Committee? As Vice
That's
Chair?
hers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as Vice
Gina
Chair.
now for Recognition Committee.
Oh, all right. As Vice Chair for the Recognition, oh, that's you.
That's me.
My bust, okay.
At this time, I would like to encourage the public and our committee members to submit nominations for the Appearance Award, Outstanding Service Award, and Recycling Efforts to our committee. I would like to encourage our board members to become a part of our committee. We have been very busy, and we do have several nominations, but at this time, we're going to wait and vote on those later on.
But if you want to show them, we can.
Oh, we
But,
can go ahead and
yes,
show
yes.
those? Okay.
So they're here for them to
good.
show. If you want to talk about them, that would be a great thing. Or if you just want to let people look at them. you
We'll
tell
just
us.
let them look at them at this time because we haven't voted on them yet. How's that?
These are nominees, and the committee will then select from these nominees. We should put fireworks up so you can do oohs and ahs.
So as you can see, we have had a lot, and we will be voting on these later on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, the One City Moment, I'm now calling on our staff for the One City Moment. Remember, anyone can contribute to the One City Moment.
And we just want to mention about, on the memorials, about the Start One City, you can just go on our website and just enter in Gold Star or, Star Award, and it will find you the form to fill out if you want to nominate something there. I think Ms. Shefflepon and Gina know how to do that very well now, as it was there.
Okay.
Yes,
How to
as the-
attach a picture.
From the One City moment there, we thought that it was appropriate to talk about the Montford Point Marine Memorial regifting ceremony. It was a very nice event, and it was certainly awe-inspiring to see those that were there, the ones that were being recognized, and their appreciation for this community and how they had been received here now and such there. And this group that you see behind the Lieutenant General Hegland here is several of the Montford Pointers who were receiving and, were being honored as part of it is there. And this is always good to talk to some of these people and hear stories and such there as it was. So this was certainly a One City moment. We are particularly proud, as many of you know, Houston Chanel, who has been the monument director, and he was given some special recognition, and he deserved every moment of it. And his grin certainly betrays the satisfaction that he has that the memorial is now done and that they have it ready to go. They gave a statue to the Lieutenant General there as symbolism of them finishing the memorial and going forth at this point. And this is Mr. Pfizer, and he can tell a story. And of course, as you can tell, about that time it started raining, and we got a little damp out there, but it was still a wonderful time out there, and it was a great One City moment as it was. So, Mr. Chairman, that's what we have for their One City moment there.
Okay. Anything on the residential and commercial recycling at this time?
Yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I have with us here Hunter Potts, and he has mentioned he's a Sturgeon City fellow, along with Tiana Waters, who's also in this picture that you see now. And we tasked them to help us with, as you heard, we've got a lot of contamination in commercial recycling. We have done a good job, we should applaud, really, but in residential recycling of cleaning the stream, but not the same in the commercial recycling. And so we challenged them when they came aboard to be with us this summer to, first of all, see the MRF and how it works. And I think that was quite an eye-opening experience. It certainly was a nose-closing experience. They got to see that. And then we tasked them with the concept of finding out how best to communicate to the people who have these restaurants and such there, because they're, unfortunately, because of food and things like that, the number one, contamination occurs as a result of food, as it was. But I don't want to steal the thunder of Hunter Potts here, so we're going to let him talk a little bit about the findings that he has had with his colleague, and where, after they leave, where we're going to go and try to finish from there, as it was.
Hello, everyone.
And tell, by the way, forgive me, tell them where you go to college and what you're studying and what are your aspirations.
I go to Bridgewater College. I'm an economics major. I'm a junior in college this year, and I will actually be studying abroad this upcoming semester, which I'm very excited about. I tell just about everyone. And I'm an aspiring foreign diplomat. I would like to work in embassies abroad. That is my ultimate goal. Well, ambassador's ultimate goal, but foreign diplomacy. So Tiana and I, we actually went to 14 different restaurants to talk about their recycling changes made at the beginning of this year. Sunoco Recycling is our vendor, and they changed what is acceptable recyclable material. So what that means is that the biggest contaminators and the biggest reasons why recyclable material isn't accepted by Sunoco Recycling, the big three is food is contaminated on recycling materials, and then you have styrofoam and plastic bags, which are all being thrown in recycling, which are now no longer recyclable. And these unaccepted materials actually have a cost. Anytime they're thrown into City of Jacksonville's recycling trucks and they go by, it actually costs $49 a ton for any unaccepted recycling material. So we went to these businesses in order to help them understand that and to alert them that these financial consequences that the City of Jacksonville assumes from Sunoco Recycling could eventually be passed on to these commercial businesses. So we went there in an effort to help them recognize these changes and to avoid any undue or unnecessary financial cost. So we went there and we have actually props. These are what we showed these commercial businesses of what is acceptable and what is not. Going through these, we found 5 different commonalities within these 14 restaurants. And the first being that most restaurants actually, a majority of them only recycle cardboard. They did this multiple times because some of them are franchises and that's all the franchise allowed them to recycle. Others didn't want to get any trouble with the city recycling, so they only recycle cardboard because they know that's acceptable material. But Tiana and I did inform them that if they have any other recyclable products other than cardboard, that they could be doing more to help out the earth and environment. The second one was the bin maintenance. Actually, the recycling dumpsters found at a majority of these commercial restaurants have a 2-lid system. So they have these 2 black lids that sit atop the
Go back to that slide.
the top of the recycling bin. And there's differences in every one, but there's usually a crack in the middle between the 2 lids and on either side that allows water to drip in and ruin any mixed paper or cardboard products, therefore making it more difficult for Sunoco Recycling and our truck drivers to get out of their truck and to resell. The third one was actually unauthorized users were dumping either recyclable material or trash into recycling bins that are specified for businesses only for the City of Jacksonville. We found this common in strip malls, kind of, so where businesses have directly next to them are their neighbors, and then we found that those neighbors may be utilizing the City of Jacksonville's recycling to dump their recyclable materials. The fourth one was that some businesses actually requested more frequent pickups. They go through too many recycling materials in 1 week that once every week recycled pickup isn't enough for them. So that was an interesting part of it, especially Golden Corral. They said they have way too much, so that they more businesses were requesting recycling pickup. And lastly, they seemed to accept the message Tiana and I were promoting and efforts. I'm hoping to want to save the environment and to do something better for the environment. Also, the opportunity of having financial cost put onto them is alarming, and that probably helped them to accept our message even better. But they accepted this message in a good manner, and they actually requested multiple managers within these businesses requested more of these print materials that you see so that they can alert their employees to rinse out recyclable materials, rinse out food from recyclable materials, and to actually implement more recycling programs within their own business. Do you guys have any questions?
How did you pick the businesses that you went to?
We were handed a list of,
okay.
of the commercial restaurants that
Okay.
were on City of Jacksonville's recycling.
Oh, okay.
The city's commercial recycling list is really not very long. It's about 4 pages or 5. I mean, but the number of restaurants on it, I think, is 14.
There was 14.
Yeah. So, some people recycle with other than the City of Jacksonville. They use some commercial, entities for that. But of that list, the restaurants were the easy target we thought we could assign to them
I thought
to
maybe
do.
there was they had more problems recycling.
Well,
or
they
something.
do, and so, because of all the commercial
Right.
recycling, that's what Kerry Terrell told us
Okay.
was his suspicion was the most. Did you talk about the load sandwiched in between loads? When they go to pick up,
Oh.
they might have a route, and they'll pick up recycling from a business. And that recycling is pretty good, it's clean, there. Then they go to a restaurant, then they go to another place and another place. Well, that whole load is now contaminated. And as he mentioned, the truck goes over the scale and it gets weighed. If everything in it is recyclable, there's no charge to the city, and it's dumped on the floor of the MRF facility and it's recycled, is it? If it's contaminated, that's $49 a ton, and those are big trucks.
And most of the recycling trucks can actually hold about 12 tons of recyclable material.
So, as they say, do the math.
Exactly.
$49 a ton?
Yes.
At 12 tons.
That's what the county charges us to dump our loads at the landfill. And because, and it's figured on what the cost of all those people are that take care of the landfill, the liners, and acquiring the land and doing all that type of activity as it is too. So this is one way we were successful with our social media and our other items that we did in you folks help, to get the word out about the clean stream. So we were trying this way to see what we could do with the restaurants.
So if a truck is picking up multiple loads and one is clean and then one is contaminated, the whole entire thing is contaminated?
Yeah.
Most of the time. There's some exceptions to that they've explained to us, but it's, it's not very often. So,
Especially because the food from like one product or one load could leak onto the other product, just
Absolutely.
contaminating the whole thing.
I think we can all vision this.
Okay.
I could paint a picture for you.
No,
guys.
they don't need that.
So there's no way to do anything about that? No way to change
Other,
that?
other than just promoting to businesses a cleaner stream.
That's-
We want to control what goes into the recycling
Right.
dumpster there, container, excuse me. But, well, any questions that you have, Hunter? I want to express my personal appreciation for him and Deanna. They've done well this summer. This isn't the only project they did, but this was the biggest project that they had been assigned to do, as it was. They took some of the pictures that you saw of the recycling nominee, the Gold Star Award nominees. Let me get that out now. I'm getting recycled in my head here, But this is something that, they've done this summer, and we're sad to lose them. Hunter, we get to have him through National Night Out. So this is good.
Very good.
Great job.
Thank you.
Yep,
Where are you
thank you.
studying abroad?
I'm actually going to Cyprus.
Oh.
Yeah.
Off the coast of Greece. Wow.
Yeah. I'm actually trying to learn Greek in the process. So that
You
I
need a
keep-
sponsor?
Yeah.
Really?
She just said she was supposed to.
we can talk afterwards.
Greece.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, that's what we had. The only other thing we wanted to recall to you was about the, we want to mention to you about some other meetings that are, other events that are coming up. The Civic Affairs Committee, obviously, about National Night Out. It's the one that's coming up on always the first Tuesday of August, when it'll be out there from 5 o'clock on. Want to mention to you, obviously, about 9/11. Patriot Day at 8:15 in the morning, always held at 8:15 in the morning, because that coincides with the National Moment of Silence at 8:46 a.m. And then the next event, obviously, is October 23rd. This is the 35th anniversary of the Beirut bomb blast, and the observance is held there. A special outreach has been made to Northwoods Park Middle School, because, as you know, on the bombing was on a Sunday, and on that Monday, the students of that school decided they wanted to raise money for a tree for every man who died. There were no women that died in that. And so subsequent to that, that is what led to the memorial program that we have. And it was the memorial that's there, which is still the largest military memorial ever constructed entirely from private funds. And then we go into, we have the Freedom Fountain Observance, will be on November 1st, and that will be held at 6 o'clock at night. And that is held so that, 6 or 6:30, we'll check, we'll give you the right word on that one. But that's, will be held in the evening. They're going to alternate between night and morning on the observance of that. And the Freedom Address will be given by a special honored guest for that. And then the next observance that'll be done is Freedom Day, and that's always on the second Monday in December. And we'll brief you more on those things later. But then, Mr. Chairman, that's what we have.
You've got a big calendar in your head, don't you? That's awesome.
We live that.
Yeah, okay. Anything on the wayfinding?
The wayfinding is underway. We have, we contracted with a firm to help us with that. Now Transportation Services is looking at a way for us to do this, some of it in-house and some of it by using vendors, so we can stretch our dollar as much as possible in that. We do have a goal of by spring having the directional signing in the downtown area done. We have submitted the plans for review, and we're improving those plans for the sign that would be at the Lejeune Memorial Garden. And then the signs out at the Beirut Memorial Grove, candidly speaking, that was a little more costly than what we thought it would be. So we're going to go back and see if we can do it a little more economically and see what we can happen to make that. But, you know, the scale of the letters there had to be 4 feet tall.
Wow.
And they're not available at Walmart.
Wouldn't think so. Okay. Well, thank you very much for all that information.
He's checking to make sure I check the list.
Yeah, well.
We want you to, sir.
I suppose that's why I wrote it down. Just kind of a reminder, but you got it all, buddy. Appreciate it. Okay, board members, leadership, and shadow member comments. Anything from our illustrious group here that you want to ask about or talk about? Okay, next thing on the agenda is we have several members of the committee that are absent due to work constraints and some other things. They've asked that we consider changing our meeting time from 6 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. or earlier. And I just want to throw that out there. The changes will not take place until next year. So is there any discussion on that?
Didn't we change our times one time before, in the fall of the year? Didn't we push it back, or was that when we would take field trips? Because
That was
it's
field
getting
trips.
good.
This
Okay.
one's always been at 6 o'clock
Okay.
since it began.
So we've got time. If anybody wants to consider that for our next meeting, we can bring it up then. Most of y'all get here before me, and that's before 6, so. We'll just be thinking about that. You like 5:30? Okay, all right. We'll bring that up at our next meeting in October, because we got a couple more. Okay, this is the end of our agenda. I wish to remind everyone our next regular meeting is 6 p.m. Thursday, October 4th, 2018, at the same place. The presentation then is about stormwater and water quality, which you know from your water bills that is really super quality water we get.
Actually, this water is about the water that falls from the sky and what happens after it.
Oh,
We'll get to that other water later, you know.
okay, I'm just thinking.
You're gonna learn a lot about water quality.
I guess so. Well, anyway, that's a plug for the water treatment plant.
That's good. They do a good job.
Marvelous facility. Okay, so please check your calendar also for a holiday lights tour, which is always a lot of fun. We get together and do that. Possible dates are December 12th, 13th, or 17th. And we'll set the date at our next meeting in October.
What'd you say,
Actually-
12, 13?
12th, 13th, or 17th.
Right. And to be candid with you folks, the sooner you can tell us, the easier it will be for everybody to make plans and do things like that. So with your permission, we'll send out an email
Okay.
too to see which of those. Some of it will be easier for us to get the vehicle. That was an issue last time. So if we can get first, we like that. And get in there to do that. So
Yeah, we can possibly do a first, second, or third choice for you. And that way
Absolutely.
That may help you out. Okay, so without further business, I will now adjourn this meeting and wish you all safe travels.